And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. With me, I have Courtney and Rose from the Fiction Fixation Podcast. It's such an honor to be able to have them here to talk about the 40-year-old version. This movie came out when I was in college. I cannot wait to dive into this scene by scene, seeing if this actually still holds up today. So, with further ado, let's go ahead and welcome them to the show. And hey, guys, welcome to the show. I do appreciate you.
Hey,
Oh, thanks for having us.
I love that
Oh,
intro music. That was a
thank you.
bop.
I appreciate that. Everybody loves the intro music and stuff like that. We get huge compliments from our guests every single time we do it. So thank you so much. I
It
do
was a
appreciate that.
little dancey dance.
Yeah.
Exactly. Gives you a little bit of a hip hop vibe inside
Yeah.
the club, right? But guys, do me a favor. Tell everybody about your podcast, about what you guys do, because I love your podcast and you guys just dropped your Fight Club review not too long ago. So
hmm
Yeah. So, again, we're Fiction Fixation and we do movie recaps.
Yeah, we do deep dives into movies, occasionally a book. And we try not to review, but we always do. So it was our thing where we're not here to review, but we're going to. And we just recap the movie. It's kind of our thing where you don't have to see the movie or read the book beforehand. We'll explain it to you.
Yeah. I don't know if people remember Spark Notes. Is that still a thing?
hmm
When
oh,
do you remember Spark Notes? When we were in college and we were tasked with writing a book, writing like a book report, but we didn't read the book.
hmm
We would just look up the
ye-
Spark Notes. So we're kind of like the Spark Notes for movies.
right. Kind of like those clip notes of like, okay, we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z, and these are going to be the marks that we actually land on. And yeah, I used those plenty
Yeah.
of times when I was in college. It was
Mhm.
actually helped me out big time.
Yeah, but it's littered with dark humor and
Right.
banter.
So, yeah, I just made it sound very academic, and it's not that. Don't
Mm-mm.
come with those expectations. As a matter of fact, just lower all the expectations when you come in, please.
Yeah, we make a lot of claims about being scientists and doctors and women in STEM, and we are none of those.
We're we are never those, no.
And there's nothing wrong with dark humor. I love dark humor. I would actually buy that book.
Mhm.
So that's actually a perfect book for me to
Yeah,
actually get.
we make a lot of toaster jokes.
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh, yes.
So I always ask my guests this, and where do you hold this movie as for a nostalgic factor? What was the first time you've seen this movie out of 10? I just was kind of curious about when was like the first time that you actually discovered the 40-year-old version.
I feel like I saw it in college. I think I was in college when I saw this movie,
Mhm.
but it had already been part of the zeitgeist already, so I feel like I was late.
Yeah, it came out in 2005, so I feel like I didn't see it when it first came out. It was probably, 2006, 2007,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and I'm pretty sure it was on one of those, TBS or something like that. It was, on, and I was like, "Oh, I wanna watch this." And then I watched it, and then I'm pretty sure, I've watched it with my husband before. When I told him I was watching it earlier, he's like, "You've seen it. You don't need to watch it again."
Okay.
So but no, I was young. I was in my, like, l late teens, early 20s when I saw it.
Okay. And what do you rate this out of 10 for you as far as nostalgia goes?
It's there was an era of, the Steve Carell, Will
Mhm.
Ferrell, sort of movies with, that crowd with Paul Rudd and Jonah Hill and Seth Rogen. There was an era for it, and it reminds me of college. It reminds me of those days.
Mhm.
The same with Knocked Up. It's kind of like half the same cast as Knocked Up.
It is, yeah. Yeah, I would say for me, like an 8 out of 10 for nostalgia. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an enjoyable watch.
Yeah, for me, I remember it. I was actually in college whenever this came out. I graduated in '04, and
Mhm.
I'm in college. And then, I ended up getting this on DVD for the unrated version of it.
Mhm.
And I just remember cracking up at the jokes, especially whenever he goes to the whole entire thing where he gets his chest waxed. And I also remember the behind the scenes stuff on the Today Show. Of basically, he really did get that done. His wife asked him, "What the fuck did you do?" And he goes, "I went to work today." "Yeah, but you didn't look like that when you left for work. So what happened?"
Yeah.
Wait, the waxing thing was real?
Yeah, that was
Yes.
real.
I was as I was watching it, I was wondering if they glued little synthetic pubes all over his chest.
No, that was
No.
really his chest hair.
Whoops.
It's funny because I realized that I've quoted this movie for years, but, like, I didn't realize it was this movie I was quoting, and it was the "Quit smiling, you jerk."
Okay.
Um, I say
Who
that
says that in the movie?
when he's getting waxed, he says, "Quit
Oh.
smiling, you jerk." She's laughing, like, she is, because imagine this waxing had to be done all in one take, there was no redos here,
Mhm. True.
Right.
and the waxer is losing it. She is, like, half crying, she's laughing so hard.
I feel like I need to rewatch that scene with the knowledge that that it really is his chest hair because I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought it was just funny to actually Steve actually went through with it, and then he comes home and his wife's like, "What the fuck happened?" It looks like that
Um,
you just murdered somebody, and now here you are in my living room. What happened? But and then also I also remember this me quoting Kuma Sayama and not even realizing where it was even coming from, because he also says that out loud whenever he gets his chest hair removed. And
Yeah.
every single time when someone
mhm.
calls me, I go Kuma Sayama, and I'm
Como
like,
se
where am
llama?
I? Right. And they're like, you know who this is? I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I said my name is in Spanish. So, but yeah, I was actually quoting lines from the movie, not realizing that I was actually quoting lines from it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would have to say it's at least an 8.5 out of 10 for me as well.
Yeah, it screams times where I didn't pay bills.
Mm.
Yep, same here with
So,
me.
yeah.
Because here's the thing though too, like I said, I was in college whenever this happened. So therefore I had that
Mm,
adolescence of the awkwardness and stuff like that that Steve had and things like that, and
yeah.
being around people that I never been around before and things like that too. So I can relate to him, but I can also relate to Seth Rogen's character who was actually trying to be a screenwriter and stuff like that too. So I have a little bit of Steve, a little bit of Seth Rogen's character in there as well. So yeah, these characters are very relatable too. So that's something I really do appreciate with it too. In
Yeah,
just a
Yeah.
normal everyday conversation.
I love how they threw Jonah Hill in there just for, like, a quick, like, 2 minutes, and
He
for a
was
minute, I didn't realize it was Jonah Hill.
he was so adorable. He was so young and plumpy.
Mhm.
He was. And you know what? I also forget that he was even in this, especially when he's in the eBay store. And we'll get to that in a few about the customers that's in this movie
Y
too, like Kevin Hart
yeah.
showing up, Jonah Hill. But he's like, I want these boots, but you can't buy them here. But I want them. I need them.
The boy
Well,
just wanted to try on the knee-high glittery boots, you
With
know?
right,
goldfish and like,
right.
in the acrylic part at the bottom where, like, the soles are, there was, like, fake goldfish. I hope they were fake goldfish.
Me too. I hope they were too.
Yeah.
That would be bad. but uh but yeah, let's go on ahead. We're gonna strip this thing out of the way, out of our nostalgic. So let's go on ahead and do it. So hey everyone, welcome back to
Mhm.
Movie Lovers Night. Today we're diving into the ultimate guide on how not to talk to women, but more importantly, how to survive awkward moments that are painfully, hilariously relatable. That's right. We're talking about the 40-year-old version. I'm John, and I can't promise you every this episode will leave you with any dating tips, but it'll definitely walk away with a good laugh. And if you're planning on using I collect action figures as an icebreaker, we're here to lovingly steer you in the right direction. So, without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's break down the 40-year-old virgin.
Let's
So,
do it.
so I like how it starts off with Andy Starts. He's actually a 40-year-old virgin who lives alone. His apartment filled
Mm.
with his collection of action figures and video games at at a poker game with his coworkers
Mhm.
David Callum Moj and Jay. When conversation turns to past sexual explodes, they learn that Andy is still a virgin and resolve to help him lose his virginity. So I liked how it starts off with his everyday routine, and
Mhm.
he makes the breakfast. I was like, okay, so this guy really knows how to take care of himself. Yes, he's nerdy like
Yeah.
I am, and yes, he's a virgin. But at the end of the day, he can cook for himself, take care of himself. He's not a slob. Yes, he rides a
Mhm.
bike, and he also has a job working at the tech store. And then I like how he goes into the store and you see Seth Rogen there and he's asking him about his day. But what do you guys think about the opening scene?
I mean, first of all, his self-care routine was top-notch. This dude
10 out
takes
of
a bubble
10.
bath in the morning. I mean, it was like my dream routine. Like he woke up,
Mhm.
he made himself this amazing breakfast, he worked out. Um, I thought his life looked wonderful, to be honest.
Like, do you realize how many grown men don't know how to do any of that? That
Yeah.
was amazing. I'm like, "Oh, look, he knows how to be an adult." But also with riding that bike, could you imagine the power that his quads and that his, like,
Mhm.
glutes have?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he probably has thighs of steel.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that though too, because here's the thing: I like the workout routine and stuff. It shows that he's taking care of himself.
Mhm.
And yes, he has a nerdy side. Yes, he can be kid like, but at the same time, though, he's very grown up in a sense.
Mhm.
But I definitely like that whole entire kid side of him. Of like, yeah, I have all this stuff, but I can also be an adult too and take care of myself and show people that I can. And I even have a full time job.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if I worked out during the daytime and I'm having to ride a bike to work, I'll be tired. I'll be thinking this is
Mhm.
like before Uber. But I would
Right.
actually call myself a Uber just to get to work because there's no way I'm running a bike after I just worked
Yeah.
out and did all that other stuff. I'm like, I'm good to go. but I also like how he walks in the tech store and he sees Seth Rogen's cows over there. He's like, "Hey Andy, hey, so what did you do?" Well, I went on ahead made myself like an egg salad, and
Yeah.
I got all the stuff. It took me about 3 hours. He goes, "Oh, that's cool." And,
Right.
and
The
but he
most
has
ex
a yeah. Go on
the
ahead.
most exciting part of his whole weekend was that he took 3 hours to make an egg salad that he ended up not eating. I
Egg
mean,
salad is delicious, though.
yeah,
I
for
feel like
3
it's
hours?
okay, listen, I've decided at, like, 10 p.m. that I wanted deviled eggs, and then I've made myself deviled eggs at, like, 10 PM.
Yeah.
But did
Mm,
you go
So
like, "Do I really need this in my life right now?" Or is it like, "Okay, I think I'm just gonna go on ahead and eat this."
oh, no, I don't have the part of my brain that goes, "Do you really need that right now?" No, that part of my brain is missing. I ate well, see, like, 4 deviled eggs doesn't feel like a lot, but if someone was like, "Hey, would you like to eat 4 hard-boiled eggs?" I'd be like, "No, that's gross."
That I do agree with you on as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
But,
Seth Rogen's character, he always plays the same guy, right? Like, he always
Yeah.
plays, like, kind of, somehow like a cool weirdo. Like, he's obviously a little strange, but he's cool somehow. Like, you wanna hang out with him.
right, he's always plays those weird stoner kinda guy that everybody
Mhm.
knows. I have a friend in high
Mhm.
school that was like that. I had a friend named Stormy. He was like, "Dude, bro, I went out with this one girl, man. You should
Yeah.
have been there." And that's actually how he talks, like,
Yeah.
no joke. But Seth has this vibe about him that's very realistic about him, even though he plays basically the same character in every movie, all
Yeah.
except, 50-50. I would have to say that was actually his best movie with, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I was even telling my wife this. I said, "I like Seth Rogen, but I like him as a co-star versus him being the main star
Mhm.
because it's just the perfect dose of bouncing off of somebody else into where we
I
can actually like him."
No, I totally agree. I think I like him better as a co-star than the main star because Knocked Up came out like 2 years after this movie, and I definitely prefer him in this movie rather than I did in Knocked Up.
Same.
And Knocked
And
Up, I'm like, "Wow, I wanna punt you."
right, because he's such a douche in Knocked
Yeah.
Up to the point where it's like he's very irresponsible. He cares only about
Mhm.
himself. He's egotistical. He's just an asshole.
Mhm.
So yeah, but with him, he's like he wants to just hang out and chill with his bros. That's all he wants to do in
Yeah.
this movie. And that's what I liked about his character was because we all have friends that we just want to hang with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's very relatable. These characters are even when you were introduced to Paul Rudd's character, who's going through a
Mhm.
bad breakup himself and things like that, and him smack talking with the manager, the store manager. Yeah, I'm gonna
Mhm.
be there one more. If I have to hear that song one more time, I'm gonna Yamo burn this motherfucker down, place down to the
Mhm.
ground.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, I don't understand how Seth Rogen's character is, like, somehow higher on the social ladder than Andy is, you know? Because I guarantee you Seth Rogen's character lives in his mom's basement. Like that's how he lived and knocked up. He lived with like 10 other
Mhm.
roommates. So it's
Mhm.
like he gives those vibes that he does not have his life together. But Andy has his life together, you know? He has a job, he
Mhm.
has a beautiful apartment in a
Mhm.
nice apartment complex. Andy has hobbies. Like, I
Right.
don't know, I was low key crushing on Andy from the beginning.
My guess is that Seth Rogen's character is probably the tech store plug.
The sorry, the what?
The tech store plug.
What does that mean?
He's their dealer.
Right.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Yeah.
mover and stuff like that. Like
Mhm,
anytime the customer, because we've seen that when he's moving the
Mhm.
TV out of the store and stuff too. But I
Mhm.
think with Andy though too, he feels more awkward to talk to anybody at all too.
Mhm.
So therefore he's like, look, I'm not a store manager. You can even see whenever somebody asks him a question about the videotapes and stuff like
mhm.
that. He's like, he does not want to be bothered. He does not want to answer anybody's questions. He's very awkward, standoffish. He just wants to go do his job and get the hell on out because he's not a
Yeah.
people person. And I think that that's why he hasn't moved up is because until everybody realizes, oh, he's a virgin, so therefore we're going to make him talk to people to try and break him out of that whole entire
Mhm.
element. So I'm because I'm also like that
Yeah.
too, where I'm actually awkward around people that I work with and stuff like that too, and kind of standoffish to the point where I'm like, I just want to deliver my supplies and get out and do my job.
Mhm.
Do you
Eh,
deliver supplies?
I'm actually work at a hospital and nursing home as
Okay.
Okay.
so basically I supply the ER, hospital, and the nursing home side. So
Cool.
basically, I just want to go in and speed through my cart, go back to my office to the office, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless I know you, then I can carry on a conversation. But I'm just not gonna go on ahead and just volunteer myself out. But I can actually relate to Andy in that kind of aspect of why he probably didn't move up to the chain. And while Seth is also
Yeah.
there and everything, and why him and Seth both work together. But I bet him and Andy don't really say that much, which is also the awkwardness between him when asking about, well, how was your weekend? And then Seth is just bored because of the fact that number one, he thinks he's a serial killer. Number two, he's
Yeah.
even, he's even bored with the conversation itself.
Yeah. Well, also Andy is a supervisor, and so I feel like that's might be one of the things to where they were like, "No, he's probably kind of a snitch." Because when they invite him to the poker game, they were like, "Ah, man, I don't know," 'cause they immediately think he's gonna snitch on them. So they might have just kind of excluded him because he was a manager.
That's a
That's
good
actually a
point.
good point.
Yeah, it does make sense that Andy wouldn't be because I was actually just gonna ask, like, why was it that Andy wasn't part of the friend group? Because the other guys that work there have a little friend group going on. But if Andy's a manager, like, I don't wanna hang out with my manager, respectfully.
Mhm.
I don't have a manager, but I wouldn't wanna hang out with them anyway.
Right, because that's just too awkward. And matter of fact, I actually know somebody that hung out with his boss. I'm like, no, no, thank you. I want to have my weekends to myself.
Yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean?
see, I just went on vacation with my boss over the summer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like
Courtney's a freak.
and then at my last job, like, I would literally, like, Snapchat my boss constantly. Like, we would Snapchat back and forth. She sent me, like, pictures of, like, her husband snoring, and she's like, "I'm gonna smother him with a pillow."
Yeah, dude, can't relate. I have never been friends with a boss that I mean, I've been friendly, but yeah, I can't relate. I've never been one
Well,
to make friends at work either.
I have one good friend from my workplace, and I've also got a good boss though too, as well that I'm friends with.
It
But
it kind of sounds like you guys are being held hostage and you have to say this. Like Courtney and John are like, "We love our bosses. They
I-
are amazing."
oh, no,
like AI is taking over us. It's like you say.
I really do. My boss doesn't listen to the podcast. She'll never know what I say. But it's like, I don't know, I love my boss. Like, I didn't have to go on vacation with her.
Yeah.
But when I went to New Orleans on a girls trip and I Snapchatted her like the whole time and she didn't like watch them, I was like, "Why didn't you watch my Snapchats?
Hmm.
I sent those to you." And they've been unread, unwatched. These videos have been unwatched for a week.
That's rejection.
I
Yeah.
know.
But here's another thing though too with the whole poker table thing though too. I thought this was really funny. So you have one friend that leaves the poker table that only leaves Andy, Cal, and Paul Rudd's character to come in there, and they're
Mhm.
talking back and forth. And he's like, and then you just have Paul Rudd who's actually talking about his broken heart, about how, man, it was just love. It was just love, man. I fell in love with this one girl, and she broke my heart. Man, why do you have to why do you have to ruin the vibe for? Why did you have to do that? And he goes, and then Andy's just awkward, just sitting there, and you could definitely tell, even though he played like online poker and stuff like that, he's just in it. Yeah, man, you just need to get past that because no ass is worth
Yeah.
uh
I
what's remembering.
know. Well, I don't think Andy's ever had friends before.
No.
I mean, his neighbors, I guess, that he watches Survivor with, but like, I don't think that's different. I don't think he's had like peer friends, like a peer friend group before. And so
Yeah.
Andy doesn't know what to do. Like he's mimicking.
He is mimicking for sure. It seems like Andy is just always waiting for life to happen to him. And you could see
Mhm.
how, like, because if he was actually antisocial, he would have never taken them up on the invitation to go. He would have made up an
Mhm.
excuse. They wouldn't know. He could say he had plans, but he was actually eager to join them. So it's like, it's almost sadder to think that this man is 40 years old and he waited 40 years for someone to invite him to go somewhere with them. Like, isn't that just a little
Yeah.
heartbreaking?
That is sad if you think of it under that context because I didn't think of it like that. I thought he was just shy and awkward, but because of the fact he accepted the invitation,
Hmm.
everything is like, oh wait, these guys are. I'm finally being accepted for who I am. But then
Mhm.
I hope they don't discover that I'm a virgin either. But then again, he's not going there to think that they're going to be talking about sex or anything. He's just going there to have
Yeah.
poker. He was going to have a Fanta, himself a good time while everybody else is drinking.
Yeah.
But I just like the fact that he's the responsible one out of the group, and and everybody's looking to him for guidance, but he doesn't have no guidance because he never slept with anybody or
Yeah.
anything. Because it's just like, have
Yeah.
you ever felt a woman's breast? Yeah, it felt like a bag of sand. A
It's
bag of sand.
crazy.
Mhm.
It's crazy that that's what gave him away because as Andy's trying to describe fake sexual interactions that he's never had, he can kind of play it off because it sounds like he has some sort of concept of sex. He's probably watched a
Mhm.
porn or a sex scene from a movie. But then when he has to give details that, he sounds like an AI, like if you asked AI, like, what do breasts feel like? The AI is going to be like, they feel like mounds of compacted sand. And then you're like, wait a minute, you're AI. You've never touched a boob, have you, Chat GPT?
Well, it's funny because I was thinking, like, what would a better way to describe that have been?
Yeah.
And my mind was just like, "Mhm." Like, I
And I
know
would
it's
think,
not sand,
Yeah.
but I
I mean, is sand that far off? I'm like squeezing my arm and trying to figure out like sand is malleable. You know what I mean? Like when you kind of squeeze, I guess I'm thinking wet sand. Never mind.
I mean, maybe like Play-Doh?
A bag of wet sand.
or clay. I don't know. Uh,
I don't know, maybe
See, we don't need to out ourselves here. And because
no.
right now there's three people and only two of us have boobs.
Yeah, I
And if
can't
we
say
if we
anything.
get very watch
Yeah.
us get very specific about what boobs actually feel like, and then everyone else is like something's wrong with them. They have to go to the doctor.
Right. Exactly.
Boobs feel really lumpy.
Like, but you know what though? I have to agree. I don't think that he's that far off though, because even with my own experience and stuff like that and things
with
like that, I'm
boobs.
thinking, yeah, I'm thinking
Yeah.
the same thing that
Yeah,
Andy is thinking. So therefore, I would think, okay, there's no problem. I don't. But I think the miso horny thing would have
Yeah.
actually gave him away
Mhm.
because we
mhm.
we, we did sexual stuff. She was getting down and dirty,
Yeah.
and
It's
I would think that would give him away more than the bag of sand.
That's true.
I feel like the bag of sand was sort of like a tiny little flame, and then the me so horny thing was like a Andy.
You've never
Andy.
seen a boob before, have you?
It's have you ever talked to a woman? Have you ever met one?
Well, it's crazy too that Andy has to feel so ashamed about being a virgin because, like, The other guys in this circle, by the way, they're way fucking
Mhm.
creepier than he is. Like, they act like Andy is a serial killer for kind of being shy and awkward, but you have Paul Rudd's character who has been stalking a woman that he dated for like 3 months 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, he gives way more. Like, I feel like that guy has an altar in his house of just a random girl that he dated for a couple months.
Yeah.
And this is a Lionel Richie. Hello, it's me again.
Yeah.
That would be
It's
David's character, more than Andy, I think, because I can see that. I can see
yeah.
him being more the stockish kind of person,
Mhm.
kind of as well, because Andy is just shy and awkward and just different from everybody, and hard to be accepted because of it. You have Seth Rogen, who's a stoner, who's into screenwriting and doing different things, and then you have David, who is just totally off the reels and depressed and very stockish.
And Jay
Yeah.
who is cheating on his girlfriend.
Probably a sex
And
addict, right?
Right.
yeah, like it's first of all, don't take advice from Jay. Jay is the worst person in this group you can take advice from, followed by Dave.
But did you notice how it seemed like Andy wanted to impress Jay most of all? Because
Mhm.
if you rewatch the scene, he took on Jay's cadence when he's like, "Yeah, man, ain't no ass good enough to be, upset about." Like he tries to talk like Jay. He
Mhm.
approaches Jay later and asks him like, do you think I'm an attractive guy?" Like he seems to idolize Jay out of all of them, which I found
Because
interesting.
Jay
That's
gets the most pussy.
Yeah,
Well, not
well,
only that, but
yeah,
I think
that's
he's
true.
the most masculine one though too. It's like he wants to
Mhm.
be like him because think of it like this. He's got the abs, he's got the muscles, he's got everything that a woman is looking for according to how Andy's looking at him.
Mhm.
Mhm.
He's like, well, clearly something's working for him. So if I have to be like this, then I'm gonna go on ahead and mimic what I see because that's who Jay is. So I'm gonna mimic the most I'm gonna go on ahead and mimic him because it's working for him.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, Jay is the womanizer of the group, so yeah, it does make sense.
Well, Jay also seems to be the ringleader of the group.
That's true. He is the one that kinda wrangles them together.
Mhm.
That's also true because if you think about it, when you see David chasing Andy out of the tech place,
Mhm.
and he once they have a conversation, it's more of a down to earth friend relationship,
Mhm.
and then you understand that David's going through something, and then Andy's trying to understand David and stuff like that too. He goes, "Man, don't listen to Jay. Jay don't know what he's talking about."
Yeah.
So by himself, he's not being antagonized by anybody. He only has his own motives on how, trying to help Andy.
Yeah.
That was
I
nice of him,
definitely
by the way.
it was. But I feel like Dave's in no position to be giving anybody advice.
But he's
Like,
he's the only one that seemed to genuinely care about Andy.
no, he is, but also mentally, I feel like Dave was one bad day away from being like, just kidnap one.
Just kidnap a woman.
Just
Yeah,
kidnap
just
one and
kidnap
just
one.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Just Grand Theft Auto her. Just take
Right,
her.
right.
Just yoink
Yeah,
one off the street
yeah,
and
Right.
then like caveman her over the head.
yeah.
It'll be
There you
fun.
go.
That's a
But
way.
I definitely I think that David has better intentions. I do. For
Oh,
that
for sure.
moment and everything, despite everything, and not only that, but I feel like that you can also learn from your friends though too. Is like learn what
Mhm.
not to do as well. So Andy's like, well, this is what he's going through, and he's like, man, that
Mhm.
sucks because even he says, yeah, love sucks. Uh, love is not happy or anything. Look at me, I'm depressed
Yeah.
and stuff. So basically, Andy's like, well, why would I want that if you're depressed? So he's learning something from him that he doesn't want, but also too, he's basically in the middle in a sense where he's like he wants it, but he
Yeah.
doesn't know how to respond to it.
Andy is so
No.
mortified when they find out that he's a virgin. He's so
Y-
mortified. And I feel like for that generation, which is probably what, like a really elder millennial, right? Like let's say the movie takes place right now, it would be an elder millennial, right? That's like 40.
Right.
Yeah. But, like, back in then, I think he was just Gen X.
Okay.
Solidly
But
Gen X.
yeah, but, I guess for that generation, right, for, like, an elder millennial or a Gen Xer, that's rare. It's really rare
Mhm.
for someone to be a 40-year-old virgin, but I gotta tell you, there have been studies that are showing that the younger generations are having, like, way less sex than the older generations have, just because people are generally more disconnected. Everything is
Mhm.
virtual,
Yeah.
and so now I'm starting to think, like, will this be more of a reality where, like, people are working remotely, people are hanging out remotely, they're hanging out in virtual spaces, and just 40 freaking years go by, and they just never had sex.
That's a good point.
That's a scary possibility to where you just become so, like, physically disconnected from society because you don't even have to leave your house. You can get, like, Instacart. You can DoorDash your groceries to your house.
Right. But then we're also getting to the point where pretty sure you're going to be able to order a girlfriend online and you'll have to do zero
Mhm.
self-reflection, zero growth, you know?
Or a sex robot that you can get
Mhm.
delivered to your door
Right.
as well.
And so
Yeah.
are you a virgin if you've only had sex with a sex robot? I would argue yes.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
would be like having a sex doll, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But she can move, but she
It's
has
like a
has no thoughts. You
a
Yeah.
sex doll is like the equivalent of, like, a dildo for a man
Okay. A reverse dildo.
or a reverse dildo, yeah. It's an innie.
But, okay, so let's go with the scene 2. Jay attempts to quicken the process by tricking Andy into meeting a prostitute. When Andy discovers the hooker's a male transvestite, he insists that his friends stop trying to help him. Andy lands a date with Trish, a woman he met on a sales floor who also works in her own store called We Sell Your Stuff on eBay.
Mhm.
So there's also some other lead up though too, especially whenever Andy's trying to pick up the girl from the bar, and he ends up trying to talk to her to this one woman, and Jay's like, "Okay, you got the right concept, but she's unconscious. Talk to some."
Yeah.
And then he picks up the other actress that played in Big Daddy and Knocked Up.
Leslie Mann.
Yeah, and he goes, "Let's get some fracking French toast." That scene cracks me up every single time whenever I see it. And then she throws up on him, and
Ugh.
it was just a bad situation altogether because he listened to Jay.
I I I commend Andy for not vomiting back on her.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
That was so
v
gross.
vomit, I don't do it. Like, my kid vomited the other day. I left the towels in the hallway for my husband to deal with when he got home. I was like, "Nope." But I he he even said, "Did you have a daiquiri?" Which means he tasted it.
Mhm.
Oh,
I know.
oh my god,
I
it's
Mhm.
disgusting,
I
disgusting.
I gagged in that oh god. And
That
why
scene was bad.
and then comedies, they always have to do the throwing up on the face. Like uh it feels like it violates the laws of physics for someone to like to like throw up onto your face. Like they have to be doing it on purpose. It has to be on
Have
purpose.
have you never thrown up while drunk before?
I have, yes.
Okay. Well, I can
Not
assure you that it does not. There is something supernatural about
it's
drunk throw up, and it always just goes straight.
just like propels forward.
It
It's like the
does.
Matrix. It just goes straight for
Yeah.
the person that it wants to go for. That's it. There's no
Mhm.
dodging it.
Oh my gosh. Leslie Mann she's fantastic though. Like her humor is some of my favorite because she doesn't rely on having funny lines. She just delivers every single mundane line that she has. She just delivers it with so much
Mhm.
humor.
And it's natural
Sh
too. Natural humor,
Yeah.
just
So
natural
natural.
dialogue. Like you would actually pick up this girl at the bar and and just have a conversation with her or bring you home. And especially when she does a breathalyzer test, because I remember those in the early 2000s. It's like, yeah, the judge told me to go ahead and get this breathalyzer test. and everything. Here, you try. And of course, Andy's sober, so he's like, okay, whatever. He winds up doing the breathalyzer test, and
Oh,
it was just a rough night for Andy.
It was
I'm
a
sure
rough night for Andy.
I'm sure Andy committed some sort of crime by
Yeah,
blowing into her breathalyzer to
Oh.
start her car.
Oh, man. So there
I
there
didn't think
must
about that.
be yeah, there must be like a kind of a part 2 to this whole night because he just abandoned the scene of an accident, right? Because she just had an accident and then he got thrown up on, and then she's like,
Mhm.
I can still have sex with you." And he's like, I'll pass."
I
Yeah.
think I'll pass on the sex.
Yeah, if that's
Yeah.
okay. I feel like Andy is so sweet though that if she would have insisted, he would have, like, just been like, "Okay," and he would have
Yeah.
done it with, like, vomit on his face.
I think so too. It's all good. I smell like shellfish. I can wipe this off in a few minutes and everything. I'll
Yeah.
take a shower at your place. We're good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also too, he also made a woman do DUI, driving under the influence, even though he's also rides a bike. So
Mhm.
he's to blame for the accident because he's making this woman drive to her house
Yeah.
that's intoxicated. But he has no clue because of what someone that's drunk is because of the fact he's never been faced in this situation.
So it's more than
Yeah.
him being a virgin, it's like him it's so okay, this is, like, so weird to me, right? Because on one hand, they could have had Andy living in his mom's basement and being, like, that kind of virgin of, like, failure to launch, right? But they
Hmm.
didn't. They have Andy with a job. I mean, he's a supervisor. He has a job, he has an apartment, he has hobbies, which I think is really cool. He has tons of hobbies, whatever. And so he's somehow very multifaceted, but then also he doesn't know he doesn't have the maturity to say, "Hey, you're pissed drunk, you shouldn't drive." Just
Mhm.
it's kind of a contradiction.
Yeah, and he wasn't always socially awkward because we see clips of the past where he had dated at one point. So
That's
I
true.
don't know,
That was a core
like,
memory
that
when
was a
he
core memory. So, like, did he not drink during that time or be around drunk people at that time? Or was it just not something at the forefront of his mind? Like, oh, wait, we're getting in a car and she's fucked up. Like, was
Right.
it just not like, oh, hey, maybe she shouldn't drive? He was so nervous, like, "Oh, I'm going to go have sex with this girl right now,"
Yeah.
and he just forgot, "Oh, wait, she's drunk, she shouldn't drive."
I think that's what it was. I think it was the fact that, oh, this is finally happening. I'm finally gonna
Mhm,
score, and then the anticipation of it, and then it winds up failing. And then the next day, of course, you have David, you have Cal breaking the whole entire lights, and stuff like that too. And he's like, "Well, like I told you, you would think that you would know this, Andy, not to if she's drunk to go ahead and drive her home."
Right.
And
yeah.
he's like, "Well, I don't drive. I drive a bike." Well, who told you to ride a fucking bike?
Why does he ride a bike? Why doesn't he drive a car? Is it just like he just refuses to have any sort of discomfort, like anything that requires effort, he's like, "No, thank you," but then he has a job.
But he's the stock supervisor, he's also adverse to sales.
Mm,
So far we have he's adverse to talking to women, relationships, sales, social
friendships.
yeah, relationships, not socializing, but initializing social interactions.
Mhm.
So, it's not that he's asocial, it's that he's, like, asocial curious,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But I also think it's the fact of you live in like Los Angeles and you don't really need a car to get around unless you live further out. Maybe he
Mhm.
lives not that far away from the store either. So maybe owning a car is not very efficient for him, and plus lives alone, and there's no chance of him probably getting a girlfriend. Probably is what probably is also what he's thinking too. But I don't know. That's actually an interesting question that I never questioned before because I'm like, I was just thinking that's who the character is, and the fact too that maybe the whole commute thing is not something he ever thought about doing was getting a car, and maybe he was afraid of
Yeah.
driving. Maybe.
It seems like it's probably fear connected. Like
Mhm.
Courtney said, he's afraid to move up in the job. He's afraid to deal with the people in the sales floor. He's afraid of women. He respects women so much that he leaves them alone.
Yeah, that's my favorite
Well,
line.
it's not that he avoids driving, he doesn't know how to drive because he later gets taught how to drive.
Right.
Yeah, he avoided learning. Yeah.
And then, what did you think about the whole transvestite thing? As far as that scene goes.
I mean, it's an early 2000s movie, so we
Mhm.
have a lot of things that would not be put in a movie now. And it's wild, right? Because
Mhm.
the things that were laughed at and the humor that would like really hit in the early 2000s is a big no-no now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they say the R word.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, it's that was very early 2000s to where it was just you just said it. It was a commonplace thing, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
But
And sorry, go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No, and while with the transvestite thing, while they were kind of respectful in the way they addressed the sex worker,
Mhm.
they still used her as a punchline, which is kind of
Mhm.
like, come on, like, you know. First of all, I'm calling it a plot hole because I feel like the escort service that you're ordering this escort from would confirm whether or not you wanted like
Yeah.
I think
a
Jay did that on
transvestite.
purpose though too. It's
Oh,
like I'm gonna
really?
get him laid no matter what, and I don't care if it's a man or a woman or anything like that. And it happens to be a woman in drag who's a
Hmm.
transvestite. Like, I think it was the fact that I'm gonna get Andy laid, and I don't care if I
Yeah.
have to make fun of him to do it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like Jay was like, you know, if that was a transvestite, like that's the, hottest one I've ever seen. And it's like, okay, can you confirm how many you've seen? Like she was attractive. She was very
Yeah.
attractive. But can you confirm how many you've seen? Because if you're just like, that's the only one.
Yeah.
So of course she is.
Right.
Probably, yeah.
But like Rose said, if it was a escort service, they would have been like, "Hey, just to confirm, what kind of equipment are you looking for?"
Mhm. Yeah.
Just to make sure things are compatible. Because they'd probably get a lot of complaints and very few return customers
Yeah.
if they thought they were ordering V and got P.
Right.
That's a big difference. Those are not interchangeable things.
No,
That's
it's not. And you would actually think that when you order a prostitute or something like that too, you would actually like, look, do you want a person with a P or a V? Because we want to match your what you want sexually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was just Jay just being a bully and trying to get
Mhm.
Andy laid. That's my thing. Because I know guys like this in
Ye
college at the early 2000s. Even with the conversation, the banter between Cal and David sitting down playing Mortal Kombat while and stuff like that too. It's like, well, you know how I know you're gay? Well, you know how you and it's like the back and forth of
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
conversation where yeah, that's early 2000s mentality of two guys hanging out. And I remember my friends and I doing it, but now I realize that's not something that I would do now,
Right.
reflecting back on my past. And
Of
this is,
course.
but and then I was like, this is actually how early 20s and our
Mhm.
college years would talk.
Yeah. It was in a Taylor Swift song, okay? And Taylor Swift is like the most like curated and careful celebrity in the world, and she had a lyric, "I'll tell my friends you're gay." So like, hey, if you can forgive
Yeah.
her, you can forgive other millennials for using that, yeah.
It's well, and it's funny because now that scene, it's just like, if you wanna kiss boys.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, just say that. It doesn't need to be a big deal.
Right.
Like, being gay isn't shocking anymore,
No.
okay?
Right.
Like, going home and telling your parents you're gay, they're like, "Alright, like, I don't what do you want me to do about that?" Like, do
Right.
you need me to set you up like a grinder profile? Like, what do you want me to do?
It shouldn't be. Yeah, it shouldn't be shocking. I think there are parts of the US still that,
Oh,
people
for
are afraid to
sure.
come out.
But I feel like just being gay in general isn't like a shocking, shameful thing for
No,
the
it's not.
majority
Mhm.
of people anymore. And like now when we're watching early 2000s movies and they're using it as they're using it as an insult
Mhm.
like that. Like it's supposed to be like this shocking, like, ooh,
Or it's wrong
thing.
to be gay
And I'm
as
like,
well.
don't call me gay, call me a Republican. Okay. If you want to hurt me, that's how you're gonna do it. All right. Like, don't insult my sexuality, like, insult my morality here.
Right.
These are we've evolved in our insults, as we've aged, and it shows.
Yeah.
Make it
Right.
a little creative.
Yeah, be creative. Call them like a thunder cunt, not a retard.
Mhm.
Like, these are be creative. You're smarter than that.
But what did you guys think of the whole dating thing though, too? The speed dating round that they did with Andy and all them. He's like, and then I even heard this is my first time hearing Seth Rogen go, that girl vagina. She seemed pretty hot. I'm like, wait, I didn't even notice that like when I was first watching it. I'm like, wait, I gotta rewind that back because I never heard that line at all from watching it. And then you have Andy's basically just doing the whole dating thing, and he goes, "So I like to actually take you over and bend you over and everything, and put a little strap on you. What do you think?"
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
I love that. Is it David who is obsessed with his ex?
Yeah, David.
Mhm,
I love how David's ex is Mindy Kaling. I love Mindy Kaling. So I was like
mhm.
really excited to see her.
Same. She is adorable. I read both her books. They are amazing. But I I love how we get her perspective here where like
Mhm.
Seth's character is like, "Hey, you need to leave my friend alone. You need to quit leading him on." And she's like, "I moved. I changed my number. I've been ignoring him. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Like, do you want me to leave LA? Do you want me to leave California? Like, that's the best I can do now. I can change my name." And it just shows that like, oh wow, like Dave's ex hasn't just been kind of dragging him along or like giving him mixed signals. She gave it a hard stop and Dave's just obsessed.
Mhm.
With her. But
Yeah.
yeah, even when Cal says, "Look, you need to leave my friend alone, you bitch," and stuff like that, and he goes, "Look, I'm tired of you. All he's been doing is being depressed at work and everything. I'm sick of it." He goes, "Just he's the one who's been emailing me and stalking me
Mhm.
and doing all this other off the wall shit, and you're gonna be the one who comes up to me and says this." He goes, "Well, I didn't know, but it was good to know."
Yeah. Seth is like, "I have not been given all the information. I am sorry."
Hmm.
At least he apologizes, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
I like how he went up to bat for his friend, defending his honor, and then
Mhm.
all of a sudden he's like, "You know what? My friend is pretty shitty for this."
Immediately
So,
backs off like,
right.
"Actually, I didn't realize he was a stalker. I still support him,
Yes.
but, I take back what I said."
Girls would never like if that was like situation was reversed and they were like, "Well, Rose is the one stalking me doing this." And I would have been like, "I don't care. That's not what I said."
"What were you wearing? It sounds like you deserve to be stalked,
Mm.
sir."
Like, did you tell her to stop? Did you say no?
Did you explicitly say, "I want her to stop stalking me"? Because if you didn't,
Do you did you did you keep posting to your public social media? Because that's like you're asking for it.
you watched her story
Um
once, so now you guys are getting married.
yeah, like that's where girls differ because girls would be like, "I support her no matter what, and you're so wrong."
Yeah.
And then privately would be like, "Hey girl,
Girly pop.
girly pop, I think maybe you might be in the wrong here."
Mhm.
Um, but I'm surprised they all did it with him. I thought they were just dropping him off at speed dating. I didn't
Uh,
realize they were all doing it.
Right, that's something that I forgot about, to be honest with you. I thought that it was just Andy by himself, or it was actually
Mhm.
Cal, because Cal's single. He would be the only one to go with him, and so, well, also David too. The only one that's not single is Jay, and Jay is just so into himself that thinks that he can actually get anybody he wants. And then you have Andy that
Yeah.
has to cover for him at the tech shop, especially when his wife comes in and goes, "Look, look, man, look, she's coming up to me. She's a hoe for show." And
He's
and
such a dirtbag. He's
he
such a
was
like
You need to get your bitch on a leash.
least.
Jay is such a dirtbag for putting Andy in that position, but he came
Mhm.
in clutch. Andy came in clutch and started defending Jay, but not just defending Jay, but attacking his wife, which took some balls, okay, for a man to speak to a woman like that.
Especially a
Um,
woman he doesn't even know either.
yeah,
Yeah.
in front
That's
of
the
her
most
husband.
that's the most unbelievable part of the whole movie is that Jay's wife didn't just, like, slap the dog shit out of
Yeah.
Andy right in the middle of that tech store, because you could see it. She wanted to slap the
She
dog shit
wanted
out of
to,
him.
yes.
Like, she was acting, she was in character, and she still wanted to slap the dog shit out of Steve Carell, just for the audacity to say it. Um, and I'm like, "No, that's the most unbelievable 40-year-old virgin, uh, 40-year-old virgin, fine, I can get behind it."
Mhm.
That scene, no.
No, that
That's
was
that's
just
where I'm
wrong.
that's where I'm like, "That never would have happened." She would have slapped the dog shit out of him.
Yeah. She would've. She would've slapped the dog shit out of him, because I already know women that won't back down from someone like that either, especially for someone
Mhm.
that they don't know. Is like, "Look, I don't know this guy from Adam, so therefore I'm gonna go in and slap the shit out of him because I don't know him. He maybe." He goes, "Is this your friend?" He goes, "Man, I hung out with him a couple of times and everything. I took him out for some drinks and and stuff like that. I had no idea he was like this. I'm sorry, baby." But he made him be the wingman without even knowing who his wife is. And
Yeah.
then on top of that, also, too, he ends up putting Dan, like you said, he puts Andy in a bad position. So now he has to try and defend Jay, even though Jay really did cheat on his wife.
Yeah,
Are they married or is that his girlfriend?
I
I
was
think they're
thinking it was.
married.
They're married? Um, I feel like Jay being married is kind of the biggest tragedy in this whole movie because she ends up, his wife ends up pregnant. And I'm like, this woman has no idea the horrible, horrible man that she's married to. He is like cheating on her the whole entire movie.
Mhm.
He's such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then, after all that happens, and then of course they also put him um basically just doing the whole wax thing as well. They put him through that. And he goes,
Yeah.
"Look like a man o' lantern," is what Dave says to him. Um, but then you also get, now let's talk about this. So Trish and him are now gonna go out. Trish,
Yes.
I love the chemistry between him and Trish. I think Trish and
Mhm.
him are beautiful together. And I like how now he's discovering, oh, she's a grandmother and she has kids of her own and things like that. And there's more to her. And he goes, "I like the fact that you're a grandmother," and stuff like that. I think that's sweet. And then he feels like he can play it safe because now he doesn't have to worry about having sex with her because they just basically made an agreement not to have sex for like 10 days.
Mhm.
It's 20. It's
Well,
20
20.
dates. Yeah, because she starts with 10, and then he's like, "Fine, 10," and she's like, "15?" He's like, "Fuck it, 15. 20, make it 20." And
And
he's just like, "Yes."
it's not even 20 days, it's 20 dates. Like, at first I thought like, "Oh,
Yeah.
20 days. Yeah, that's a reasonable 20 dates." So that could be over
Mhm.
the period of 3 months, you know?
Mhm.
Right.
But I
And
feel like they get really intertwined super fast
They
because
do,
he's
yeah.
just like walking, they're giving each other presents. He's just walking into her house, like he's helping with her daughter. Like they get super entwined in each other's lives super fast.
it's all about that attachment, of being in love with somebody and having that chemistry with
Mhm.
somebody. And I definitely like the chemistry with the daughter and everything, especially with the little girl. He goes, "Well, I got this," and he takes the big quarter, takes it behind her ear. "Oh, you mean to tell me you actually carry a rubber ear with you?" "Yeah, I do." But, I liked how he's able to play off the little girl, and then also too, he's also sold on the oldest one
Mhm.
likes him too, and it's like, "Okay, I feel safe with my mom." And then she has that whole entire thing experience with her boyfriend because her boyfriend thinks that Andy and her mom slept together. And he's like, "Dude, you
Yeah.
gotta teach me." And all he did was play with condom packs and call
Yeah.
himself Aquaman. I used to
Yeah.
Aquaman.
I was like,
Well,
what was he doing even? Like, at a certain point, he completely forgot what the assignment was, and he just started blowing up balloons and putting condoms on his, forearm. I'm like, "All right, dude."
he had a condom all the way up his calf.
Yeah.
And that it's like I thought it was like a rite of passage as like a preteen, early teen. Like, oh, you figure it out, like maybe it's just me.
Like, learn
Maybe
how to
I
how
don't
learn.
you learn like you learn like how to use a condom. Like that's I thought it was just like a rite of passage. Like you figure it out. Like you watch like YouTube was a thing in 2005. Watch a YouTube video, my dude. Why are you struggling? Like it's you've never opened one before? You're 40.
Yeah.
Even in
That's
health class, my
yeah.
health teacher was like, "You know what, girls? If the guy says that the condom does not go all the way up, guess what?" And she pulls it all the way up to her arm.
Yeah.
Because you see, it fits like a glove. I'm like,
They're stretchy.
yeah. So, but I also want to know, how long was Trish in that bathroom to where Andy was playing with all those condoms too? Like, what is she doing?
Yeah. You lived
And
in a progressive state where they were teaching how to use condoms. They don't teach that in Kentucky. Kentucky's an abstinence only state.
Okay, I
yeah,
didn't know that.
I don't remember if they teach it if they taught us that. I don't remember them teaching us that in Virginia. But but can we talk about Trish for a minute?
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
the first time I watched this movie, I thought she's like the sweet lady, she's kind of has
Mhm.
her hands full. She has a business, she has kids. And then watching it again, I'm just like something is off about her. Like I feel like I want a little more backstory about Trish because she seems a little unhinged, like just a little bit. The fact that she brings this man home that she doesn't know and is ready to have sex with him. Like when you're a parent, you know where your kids are at all times. You know when your
Mhm.
kids are going to be home and when they're not going to be home. So it's like her knowing that her full teenage kids are going to just walk through the door at any moment and she leaves her bedroom door unlocked. I was like,
Yeah.
That's weird. And then throughout their dating, she's, making out with him and stuff on the couch with all the lights off, where her 6-year-old walks in. Do you know? So I'm just kind of like, Trish, what's going on, babes? Like, what's happening? And then she does other crazy stuff later on in the movie that I'll get into.
I I like Trish, but I do agree that something's off. It's giving mania.
She does give mania. She does seem like she's in a manic episode. Wouldn't it be
Mhm.
funny if she literally just started that business? Like she has that business across the
Mhm.
street from where Andy works. It would be hilarious if she just thought that up like last full moon. She was just like, I'm starting a business and like rented a space.
That's probably what she did because
Yeah.
look, there's nothing inside that store at
Yeah.
all. And she goes, "Take a look around, Andy. See if there's anything that you like." Okay. And she
Yeah.
just takes a look around.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, I think I'm gonna start a business. Let me go and look at the yellow pages, for example, and see if what's available. Oh, okay, there's a store. There's a tech store that's actually perfect for me. I can pick up whatever electronic stuff I need
Mhm.
for my
Mhm.
stuff, and then I can go and go back to my empty store.
Impulsive. She
Yeah.
gives impulsive.
Yeah. It's don't worry, girly. It'll fade.
Yeah, yeah. And then and then you'll be like, "Oh, fuck. I signed a lease. I'm stuck with this."
It'll go down and then it'll stay down.
Then you'll be
Um,
depressed like the rest of us.
but do we ever get Any backstory on her ex-husband?
No, we just know that he was out of the kids' lives, and that's it. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I
Her
didn't think
for
so.
for
her
me though, I thought that worked. And
Yeah.
Mhm,
I know that Rose wants to. I'll let Rose talk in a minute too, because I just felt like that worked for me. Because if he was just a
mhm,
sperm donor that
Mhm.
just basically, you know, left during the time that she was pregnant, it's like, okay, peace out, I'm done. That works because of the fact it's like, okay, now I'm a single mother. I'm having to raise two daughters on my own and try to figure this shit out on my own.
Mhm.
So that
mhm.
works. I think if you add that, I'm just saying this, I'm not saying that you guys are saying this, but I feel like
Mhm.
if you add like the husband element into it, then you have a villain that you have to that Andy has to actually go after
Mhm.
and everything too,
Yeah,
where you now Seth Rogen's character has to have beef with him, Jay has to have beef with him. It's just too much stuff going on. But just
Oh,
with her
yeah.
just
mhm.
being a single mother, I think it actually works. And I think that part works for me. But
No,
Yeah,
I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't think we needed the ex-husband in the picture or anything like that. Uh, but I'm just so curious, like, why does she gives really manic vibes, like
mhm.
something's not right with Trish. I think he
No,
needs to check her basement and her freezer. She's hiding something.
I asked about the ex-husband because I was just like, I wonder if that has anything to do with sort of her demeanor. So I didn't know if we had gotten any information about that, and I just forgot.
no, that's pretty much it. It's just like there was no husband around or anything like that. It's like
Yeah,
he's just like a sperm donor. I'm out and that's it. Now good luck to you. That's the way I seen it. Um
gotcha.
But yeah, and then you also had the other thing too, where Andy actually calls her up, and he ends up saying, "Hey, are you interested in buying the next Reader Digest?" And then she comes unhinged. I agree with Rose on this. She's way unhinged. Whenever Andy just asked her, like he didn't mean to prank call her, but I understand that,
Mhm.
telemarketers can be aggravating, but aggravating to the point where you just become unglued. To all this, I'm gonna put my foot up your ass, you fucking asshole. I know I'm not fucking interested in this motherfucker. Yeah, that's like
She tells him to
way
go kill
Yeah.
himself. She's like, "Find a roof, jump off of it, run into a knife." Like,
That was a lot. I
Trish.
actually forgot about that when I was saying she was unhinged, but that giving someone graphic details of how to like I don't know. And you have to imagine like this is who she really is because she's
Mhm.
talking to a stranger that pissed her off. Like she's not trying to impress this person. But also, bitch, you don't have caller ID? Like it's 2005. You don't have caller ID?
Mm,
Because he
that's
calls
that's a
her
good point.
true.
Andy calls her multiple times.
Right, and then he's even nervous again. He goes, "This is Andy from the store." Because now, yeah, but he's also afraid of her reaction of who he is now. It's like,
Yeah.
well, this didn't work the first time. Let me see what happens now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mello says she probably has a lot of road rage.
Oh my gosh. We never
that's
do we
fair.
see her driving? We don't see her driving. She does drive because she like picks
Right,
them up and
Mhm.
stuff.
but I think
Yeah,
with the personality that she has, she would probably have a lot of road rage if they showed any kind of, you
for
know.
sure.
But
We
even
see a
whenever,
little clip of her teaching Andy how to drive.
Mhm. Oh, that's true. You know what's interesting? I feel like when people that have road rage and kind of what she does when she snaps at who she thinks is the telemarketer and tells, him to like go kill himself. I feel like those people are they're kind of scary because they'll have these like explosive angry episodes and then they just like go back to normal. And it's almost like they don't think anything weird happened. It's like they were possessed. Like 1 second they're driving and they're just like go crazy and then they're like back to normal. Like I've seen people do that.
Do you
I'm
not
like,
have road rage?
um, not I mean, you get mad at people on the road, but I think road rage to me it means like blind, like you're like blinded by anger.
Mm,
So,
like
no.
going up to that extra mile of like, you guys need to die and rot in hell and stuff.
Exactly.
On
Yes.
that kind of level. I get what
Yeah.
you're saying.
yeah.
Because yeah, there's a difference between having road rage and being angry. And now being
Right.
angry is just someone
Mm,
cutting you up and you saying, "You mother effer, get you motherfucker, you cut me off," and
Mhm.
everything,
mhm.
and then you let it go after 5 minutes of complaining about it, and that's it. Road rage is where
Yeah.
you take it over the limit for an
Mhm.
hour
No, for sure,
nonstop.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I get it. Because I'm just like, wait a minute. Like, I have road rage. Am I unhinged? But no, like, people will cut me off and I'll just be like, fuck your mom, bitch. But then I'm back to normal. Just like,
Mhm.
okay, it's over now.
That's normal, yeah. You didn't,
Okay.
like, follow them home,
No, no.
seduced their dad, married their dad, became their stepmom,
No, I have a
sent them to
conspicuously
their room.
colored car. I can't do that.
Let's see. Mello says, to be honest, I have some road rage, but not enough to approach a person and easily, especially would never threaten them. Same
That's
here.
probably an introvert, right, Mello? You're probably an introvert. Introverts are very
Mhm.
complicated. We'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna keep this to myself because I don't want to talk to people."
I feel like oftentimes we feel like our car is like like a fortress.
Mm,
Like I sometimes forget that the car has windows.
yeah.
Um, and so it's one of those things where it's like I feel safe in the car. So like when I'm screaming at someone or flipping someone off, I feel super safe. But then like we end up next to each other at like a stoplight, and I'm just like
Yeah.
straight ahead because they can see
Avoiding.
me.
Yeah.
But then we also have this other thing now. Finally, we're actually reaching the 20th date, but we also deal with the fact that the daughter is now going to basically sex ed and
Hmm.
stuff now, and Andy is over there with her. He goes, and they're making fun of her inside the class. It's like, hey, look, I'm a virgin, and they're
Uh
like,
huh.
and then Andy's like, well, I'm a virgin too. And I like how the daughter looks at her and goes, Kate Dennings. I love Kate Dennings. Kate Dennings is my favorite
Hmm.
actress, to be honest with you. But I like how she goes, look, you didn't have to say all that shit just to make me feel better. He goes, no,
Yeah.
I'm really it's like he went to therapy himself that day. It's like,
Yeah.
look, I'm having this issue
Yeah.
too, so I want to learn too. And I like how he's basically taking like side notes. He goes, oh, what else can you do? Well, you can masturbate. Yeah, you can play with yourself. Um,
Oh
Dry
god.
hump. Yeah, dry humping. That sounds good. So
Is it true if you don't use it, you lose it?
You lose it. What did he think his penis was gonna fall off, like, the first
I
time he had
right.
sex because he's never used it?
Well, it's
I
so funny because his friends keep saying, "You have so much semen backup." Like, he might actually think, "Wait a minute, like, is it rotting? Like, is it going, like
Oh.
is it, like, going moldy in there? Is it going to fall off?"
Mm,
I think he's also wondering too with life that he has now. He's 40 years old. Am I ever gonna
Mhm.
lose it? And what happens
yeah.
if I do find the right person? Am I not gonna have kids? Am I? It's like all the what ifs and the anxiety of the what
Mhm.
ifs in
I
his
didn't
mind.
I didn't think about the kids part. The fact that he's never expressed interest that we saw and or even
Mhm.
regret. Like actually in the beginning of the movie, Andy was completely fine with being a virgin, it seemed like. It seemed like he was completely settled in his situation. But that scene of them at the sex clinic or birth control clinic, I felt like it was
Mhm.
a little character growth moment because
Mhm,
for Andy to volunteer the information that he is a virgin after hearing everyone laugh at the girl when she
Yeah.
said she was, I felt like that was character growth because you saw in the beginning how mortified he was when his friends found out. So it's like being laughed at and admitting that was like a really big deal to him. He couldn't even tell his girlfriend.
Yeah. It's I feel like Trish is good for Andy's, like, growth as a person.
mhm.
Yeah. She
I
is,
definitely.
yeah. She's pushing him, right? But then also, again, Trish might be a little manic. She's kind of pushing
Mhm.
him more than he wants to be pushed. If you're dating a
Yeah.
guy who is a supervisor at, like
Yeah.
what does he do? A store
It's like Best Buy, but it's smart
okay.
tech.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But he's like a stalking manager or whatever he is. That is what he does for a living. He seems content with it. He's not expressing to you that he wants another position. Why are you projecting what you want onto
Mhm.
him? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know. It's because she's probably a fixer.
Mm. She would have fixed his virginity problem real quick.
Yeah, all he had to do was say the word.
Right, and that's it. But
Yeah.
let's see here. Mello says, I'm gonna go through some of the things he said. He goes, "At times, I'll huff and puff and speed up and go around the car." That's about the road rage thing that we were talking about. And then
Mhm.
he also
Uh-huh.
says that was a really endearing scene because he seemed to genuinely seems curious and friendly despite the subject matter. And he also agreed with Rose, and he goes, "I am also an introvert, extrovert, mostly introvert." So. But I do
Yeah.
have to say that I think that she's the type of I think that Trish is the type of woman that would actually tie Andy down and fuck his brains out if she said, "I'm a
Yeah.
virgin,
She
and
would
I'm
have
gonna
fixed it. She would have fixed the
yeah, yeah,
problem.
fix the problem right then and there. We didn't need 2 hours of him going through all this." You know? But
Yeah.
he's still reserved in himself. He can't come clean with it. And then whenever on the 25th date, he's trying to be a man, trying to sell his stuff, and
Mhm.
basically forces him, and which causes the whole entire argument. And goes, "I don't want to sell my action figures. I like my action figures. I like what I'm doing." Even when David winds up saying, "Look, you're like an action figure. You're stuffed up in these boxes,
Mhm.
and you need to get out. You need to You need to play with it."
Yeah.
but she just pushed him to the limit to where he finally snaps at her,
Yeah.
and then that causes the accident. Then of course she winds up getting to that. He chases her down with his bike, and then she winds up going through that whole entire 18 wheel and stuff like that too. But yeah,
Oh.
It just I feel like I was surprised. I was surprised when he agreed to sell his stuff, but he's just so passive. It almost makes me wonder because obviously in the end they end up together, but it's like it makes me wonder how miserable he's going to be in marriage because this man has spent the last 40 years doing his beautiful morning routine that he's not going to be able to do now that he is
Mhm.
a dad of two. Okay, let me tell you, when you have kids, you don't get to take a bubble bath in the morning. You don't
Mm-mm.
get
no.
to, make yourself this beautiful breakfast and work out for an hour. That none of that happens. So, I'm just curious what his life is gonna be like.
I I'm actually really proud of him. Like, I don't love the way he stood up to Trish, but I do like that he did it because I feel like the Andy at the beginning of the movie wouldn't have done that.
That's true, yeah.
He would have
So,
just went
like,
with it.
yeah, he would have just went with it. He would have just allowed all his stuff to be sold. So I am actually really proud of him for standing up to her, even though I wish he would have done it differently, just because like that was very emotional and there are better ways to do it. So I wish that he would have done it differently, but really proud that he did. He was just like, "No, I don't want to sell my action figures. You wanted to sell my action figures. Like, I'm taking these home with me."
Yeah, good for him.
Um, and
But
so
then
I
he
am really
but he
huh?
did sell them. He did sell them in the end, didn't he?
I think
No,
so, yeah.
I don't know. I thought he still had it wrapped up and everything too. Like they were on the verge of actually selling him on eBay, and then they got
Mhm.
into that fight. And then after that happens, he goes straight to the nightclub, and he winds up finding that one girl they was hitting on that Cal was trying to hook him up with.
At the
And
bookstore.
Mhm.
yep, because remember he goes, just say whatever the woman wants you to say. And so he winds up, so you got a car? You know, I have a bike and I can put it in your trunk.
Big this
and
was he walked so that Cardi B could run with her Big Mac truck and her little garage line.
Yeah.
and then at that
Yeah.
point they all go into the apartment, and it turns out Jay slept with her and Cal slept with her.
Mhm.
And she's also going downstairs with the handle.
Yeah.
Um, and two, and then it's like Andy's like, "Look, I gotta go. She's way too psycho for me."
What was she doing that was so psycho, though? I don't understand how they painted this woman like she was just like this deranged nymphomaniac. Like she was a woman who had flirted with a guy. They agreed to go back to her place, and she was in the bath. Like I don't, and was like, "Hey, I'm warming myself up." Like what was so like they're all virgins. Like I'm not convinced any of them have ever had sex because they were so like, "Oh my god, what? There's a naked woman that wants sex." sounds like a whore to me, like they were just so
All except Cal, because Cal's like, well, everybody else is gone, so I'm just gonna go ahead,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that she could just, interchange individuals, at a moment's notice is a little sus, but
I I think my husband referred to this as homie hopping. Where you just switch from one friend to the friend group to the other friend of like the other dude from the friend group.
Mhm.
So, like we support women's rights and women's wrongs.
yeah, I stand
So,
behind all the crazy women in this movie, including Trish. As fucking crazy
mhm.
as she is.
Right.
Oh, by the way,
And
speaking of Trish, she broke into his like, I wanted to say this because this is the other crazy thing that she did. Like, Andy gets home and she's in his house after he escapes from the crazy nymphomaniac.
mhm.
Mhm.
Trish is in his house looking through his shit. Like, I'm sorry, not cool. Actual misdemeanor, I think. Isn't that a misdemeanor?
I
Breaking and
would think it
entering?
was like a B&E type of thing.
Yeah.
Because he even has the vagina model that she goes, "What's this?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Woman, you need to put that down. That you're going through his stuff, even though it
Mhm.
is creepy to her because of that. Let the guy explain because you're in his house, and you also need to explain to him why you're in her and why you're even in his house too.
Yeah.
You guys both have explaining to do. You guys
Yeah.
have some stuff that you guys need to air out.
So he stole the vagina model from the sex ed clinic. It's not like
Right,
it's the worst thing.
right,
Yeah.
but
Who hasn't? Am I right? Who among us
Who
hasn't
hasn't?
stolen a vagina model from a sex ed clinic?
I mean, honestly, we all steal things from the doctor's office. Is the vagina model really different than a handful of latex gloves?
Courtney.
But I need to do a poll for that. For
Yeah,
the
Courtney's always confessing to crimes on the podcast, but usually I edit them out.
Do
So
you guys not
you're
steal gloves from the doctor's office?
no, Courtney. Jesus Christ, you're going to
I
jail.
work at a I work at the hospital, and I also supply them, so I can just take the box if I
Are you a
wanted.
mandated reporter? Can you report her?
I don't know anything about no gloves missing. I don't know anything that she's doing. I'm not.
Okay.
You ma-
I'm not weird here, okay? Most people steal gloves from the doctor's office.
okay. Well, we'll
Okay.
we'll do a poll.
Okay.
Marshmallow.
Let's see. Marshmallow says,
It's
"I
mellow.
Taking
want some French
gloves.
toast." That fucker came out of nowhere.
The Mellow Mutant Show says I've taken gloves.
Oh, so we have
See, I'm not the weirdo.
No
No gloves
gloves
left
left
gloves left
behind.
behind. I love it. You see, this is what I love about doing a podcast. We're all admitting to stuff that we've done. So
This is just blackmail material. Just file this under.
You don't need to save it for blackmail. I'll say it on my own page. I'll put it out there myself. It's not a crime.
She'll tag the sheriff.
it's not illegal until you get caught, right?
I don't think my doctor's office cares that I steal gloves.
Yeah, it's all good.
I'll
but
tell Kathy myself.
Yeah.
but how do you guys feel about like the ending of this and how it wraps up?
What did you think, Courtney?
I I wasn't mad at it. I don't know. I think while I like Trish and while I like Trish and Andy together, I think I might have kind of liked for Andy to find somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm a little suspicious of Trish as much as I support women's rights and women's wrongs. But what I'm curious about too is the fact that it seems like they waited until after marriage to have sex. And
Mhm.
I guarantee you this was Trisha's idea because at no point did Andy ever say that he was like waiting until marriage. So I
No,
guarantee you
because
it was her idea.
right, because if you think about it, even in his college years, he was bringing girls home, and
Hmm.
he ended up when the girl sucked on his toe, he broke her nose, and then you also have that those scenes that play out, he was not waiting. He was rearing to go. And even when he was hitting on the chick at the bookstore and everything else, he was ready. He wanted it. It's
Mhm.
just that I
Right.
think with Trish, she's like, look, you only be a virgin once. I wanted to be special for you. So therefore, let's get married.
Yeah.
What if she used that to, like, force him to marry her? Kinda like Anne Boleyn did with King Henry VIII. She, like
Mm.
she seduced him, but she wouldn't sleep with him unless he married her, and so he literally, like, abandoned the religion of the country to, like, marry her and have sex. Trish, what if she was just holding it over his head?
I think that may actually be you may be onto something there. She may be like, "Listen, I'm tired of being this single mom, okay?
Mhm,
Having a co-parent would actually be fucking amazing. So here's the thing, I'm going to weaponize that pussy.
mhm.
Um, if you want the punani, we gotta get married."
Yeah,
She
put a
could
ring
And
on
then
blackmail
it.
him for it.
at that point, honestly, do you think Andy's gonna be like, "I'd like a divorce"? No.
Right.
No.
She could literally run him over with her car, and I don't think he would ask for a divorce.
It's kind of like that scene in Night of the Roxbury where the two brothers finally get laid from those. I don't know if you ever seen that
Mhm.
movie or not, but
I've
Mm-mm.
never seen that one.
okay. So basically, you have Steve and Doug Batami, and it's Will Ferrell in this movie too, and they're virgins. They're adult men who are virgins. They wind up meeting these other two girls at the club, right?
Mhm.
And so now, all of a sudden, they just got laid. It's like, dude, did you? Yeah, yeah. And he's like, look, I'm just gonna go check on her. I'll be right back. And then they go back in the rooms and everything, and they're nailing them again. And it's kind of like that same aspect of the fact is, you mean to tell me if I divorce this woman, it's kind of like the same thing. I'm never gonna get laid again, so I might
Mm.
as well stick with her because she's my only
Yes.
Mhm.
person that I can be with because
Yeah.
of the fact that I lost my virginity to because that's all I know. Just as how Steve and Doug feel about
Mhm.
those two girls that they picked up is like these are the only two girls that I ever slept with. So therefore,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with this person now. So therefore, I'm gonna stick with what I know versus what I don't know.
That's
Yeah.
such a good point, especially because of everything Andy had to go through to even have sex for the first time. And so
Yeah.
he's just like, "This is it. I'm stuck here." But then did you hear, it was, what was the guy's name? The guy that cheated on his wife all the time.
Jay,
Jay.
yeah,
Jay and his wife were sitting in the audience during the wedding, and the wife said, "How could they afford this wedding?" And Jay says he sold all of his figurines for
oh yeah,
$100,000. So Andy
Oh.
did sell all his stuff. So like it's I love when movies have kind of like a different almost like if it had a different soundtrack, it would be a different movie. Like imagine this movie as a psychological thriller and Trish is the bad guy.
Ooh.
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, because
It's kind of like
he
turning
said
Mrs. Doubtfire into a horror movie in a
yeah,
sense.
because she said
Ooh.
he said to her, "I don't wanna sell my stuff and you're making me sell it." And then in the end, he's marrying her and he sold his stuff anyway.
Right,
Yeah.
She won.
It's it's like the
right.
second half of Gone Girl at the end.
Mhm.
It's kind of also like this though too though if you think about it and we'll wrap up in a minute, but it's kind of like this, right? It's like I gave like saying to your boys, "Well, I finally got laid. But what did it cost you? It cost you your action figures,
Mhm.
your freedom. You're not going to be able to get up early in the morning anymore and do your
Yeah.
routine. Forget about doing that 3 hour lunch thing now.
Oh,
You can't
yeah.
do
Mhm.
that no more. So what did you? Yeah, you got it, but what did you give up in the end?
Yeah.
You coulda just got a Tinder.
The Mutant Show, yeah, says, "Oh, I missed that Rose for
Yeah.
the ending of him selling his stuff after all," kind of sad in that aspect. It was, just kind of this little throwaway line they added in the end, but it was interesting that they did that
Mhm.
because it was almost like they wanted to highlight really quickly, like, "Hey,
Mhm.
by the way, Trish got her way."
But also too, it's also about the man sacrificing from being a boy to being a man
But
and giving up childish
Mhm.
things
I
as
I
well.
don't agree with that though, because it's like, who says a man can't have a collection of figurines? Do you know what I mean? What is so? I mean, there you go. Like, what is so fucking like, dude? I love when men have hobbies. Listen, men that have hobbies are not shooting up schools. Okay, men that have
Mhm.
hobbies are not out here snatching women from the road and murdering them. Okay, let's encourage men to have fucking hobbies, and let's stop pretending, or let's stop spreading this idea that having these hobbies is like somehow a bad thing. We want men to have hobbies because when they don't, they do bad things.
I mean, how is collecting action figures, like, different than video games, to be honest? Like, he does like, he paints them and stuff like that. How is that different than video games?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, I think I would rather have a husband that paints little action figures under a magnifying glass and collects action figures than a man who plays video games.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But I mean, even so, I think they're so adorable. They're little action figures. They're so adorable. I would
They
be so
are.
proud of him. I'd be like, "Look, baby, I put all your action figures on the wall in the basement in a room where nobody goes. But look, it's here."
Where Dr. Dre is locked up. But yeah.
I don't know. Frank
Yeah.
doesn't have
No.
either of those. He doesn't play video games or have tiny action figures. He has bees.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I miss so I said, yeah, the Mellow Mutant Show says
Yeah.
hobbies save themselves and others.
Yeah.
Oh,
Save
And that's
they
themselves and
true.
others.
said
Mm.
mellow mutant or just mellow is fine.
Oh, sorry.
It's
Keep
cool.
saying the whole thing. I just apologized for it and then I did it again.
But you know
Right.
what though? I actually play video games. I collect comic books. I do all that same nerdy stuff that Andy does and
Mhm.
stuff like that too. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's
No.
healthy. I think it's healthy to have a
Mhm.
hobby away from your spouse and stuff like that too. So that way it gives you a chance to actually just breathe a little bit. And I think that's also too what Andy needs though too. Now that he's married, he just needs that time and space and everything too.
Oh,
But and
yes.
then he's excited because now he's finally got getting ready to get some inside the hotel room. He tells the little guy that's buffing the floor. He goes, "Get out!"
Get out. That's the most aggressive he's been
Yeah,
since he was yelling at Jay's wife.
right. But still, okay.
Ah.
So now that we got away from the nostalgia, now that we broke away from all that, what do you rate this now?
I don't know. We usually don't rate
Six.
movies.
Okay,
So, I'm
it's
like,
okay.
we usually don't rate movies, but you say 6, Courtney?
6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't. Here's the thing with me, like, for older films like this, I do about a 10. Like, I like stripping away the nostalgia, looking at the lenses of an adult because of the
right.
fact that I was actually 20 years old when I seen this, 19. So
Mhm.
I was thinking differently. I was laughing at different scenes and
Right.
not thinking the way that I am as an adult. So
Yeah.
that's why I love doing the stripping away the nostalgia kind of feel to it. And that's why I do nostalgic to make me feel like I'm 20 again, but
Yeah.
I'm 39. But, but for newer films, I don't really rate them. I'll do maybe out of 5 for, like, Letterbox, and that's about it.
That's the thing too, like, when you say out of 10, I'm like, "Man, that's like a it's quite the spectrum to rate on, like, where am I out of 10?" 'Cause if I don't know, I'm like I would
Well,
probably say 6 as well. I think it's enjoyable. Um, there are obviously parts that didn't age well, as a lot of early 2000s movies didn't, but, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
it's funny and it's fun.
Mhm.
And so I think there's a lot of things that are kind of fun, but not really that funny, and things that are fun, like things that are funny, but not really like a fun movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like this was both. Um, I I don't know her name, but the girl that plays her older daughter,
Yeah, Kate Dennings.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's on Two Broke Girls.
Mhm.
And I really like her, and I forgot she was in this, and so I really kind of enjoyed seeing her, like, in her earlier films. But I don't know, it's hard for me to strip the nostalgia all the way away.
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do, and here's the thing with me, like, I felt like the runtime was a lot longer watching it
Mhm.
Mhm.
too, and that's also one of the things that Robert Ebert said was that the runtime for this movie should have been at least an hour and 40, not a 2-hour long
Mhm.
comedy.
Yeah.
And I did feel the runtime going into this and everything compared to where I was in my 20s, just enjoying this stuff on my face with popcorn and laughing my ass off through the whole entire thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And, but for me, I'm gonna have to give it at least a 5.9 out of 10. Like I enjoyed it, but there's some parts of the dialogue that does not hold up today in
It
today's
doesn't.
standards.
Yeah.
That's some of the stuff that doesn't work with me, but I do have a fun time watching it and stuff like that. If I just want to just put something on, just to laugh at, reminisce about my
Mhm.
times in college and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a fun watch, and I also recommend anyone who hasn't seen it just to watch a Steve Carell movie that you might enjoy. And also,
Yeah.
too, you also have Kevin Hart in this movie at the peak of it. Because Reach for the Sky, Willis.
The
Mhm.
cameos, yeah.
Yes, you have the cameos. You got Jonah Hill in this starting out. So yeah, it's just a 5.9 out of 10
I
for me.
think I saw the unrated version
Mhm.
originally.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Viagra thing, wasn't that in the unrated version?
It
Yeah,
must have
that
been,
was.
yeah, it wasn't in
Yeah.
this one.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't in this one because I kept waiting for it because I was like, "Oh, I remember that scene specifically." I'm like, "Was that a Mandela effect? Did it never happen?"
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
Do you
but
know
yeah, it was in the unrated version.
Let's see. Mellow says, looking back and taking nostalgic out of it, I would give it a 6, maybe a 6.5 now because it was funny moments, but show its age and not a classic. Definitely.
it shows
Yeah,
its age for sure.
it
But you know
does.
what? As I was sitting here and I was hearing you guys talk, it occurred to me because I'm kind of comparing this movie with Knocked Up, which came out like not what like
Like a
2
year later, I think.
yeah, just
Yeah.
like a year or 2 later. What I realized about this movie is that every single side character had, like, depth and had their own world going on, which is not
Mhm,
something you see a lot happening in these types of
mhm,
comedies. Like, usually the friends will just be stand-ins, they will be there when you need them and not there when you don't, and it seems like every single character, like the guy that was constantly cheating on his wife, like, he was busy. Even though
mhm,
he wasn't in a scene, he was up to no good. And then you have the guy that was obsessed with his ex. Like, he's,
mhm.
stalking her somewhere. He's off stalking her. And then Seth Rogen's character, I don't really know what he was. He was a scriptwriter. So it
Right.
just felt like everyone had kind of this rich inner world, which I appreciate.
Same
'Cause-
here. It makes it more
Yeah,
realistic,
Yeah.
it
because it's
felt
everyday
really
life.
well developed.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do have to say the character development is very good. The character arcs are good. Structure's there. It's just some of the dialogue just doesn't hold up, especially the whole "how do I know if you're gay" scene, and then the R word and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that though, I think it's a fun watch if anybody's wanting to check it out. It's not streaming anywhere. I have the DVD still. I have the unrated version.
Oh, it's streaming on Prime.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. You're
So,
you're a physical media collector, right?
yep, I
I
love
was you
collecting physical media.
As I was getting ready to watch this movie, I thought to myself, "Oh my gosh, I hope it's streaming somewhere because 'cause I'm pretty sure John can't fathom that we don't have it, like, on a shelf." But our shelves are just full of, like, smutty romance novels. That's what our shelves are,
Yeah,
so
Right, but
that's
just girly things, you know?
but the
I
funny
don't
thing
own
is
a DVD player.
you don't. You see, the funny
Mm.
thing is my friend makes fun of me all the time because I have a PS5 and he's a digital media person. I'm a physical media person, so I have a
Mhm.
slot to put in my disc. And, matter of fact, I just ordered Jaws, the Vault edition, because I
Nice.
love right, because I'm a huge Jaws fan, and I also love collecting physical media, and also too, I just bought, Your Next so I can review that movie, and I also got Can't Hardly Wait, so yeah, I'm a huge physical media collector and stuff. I love it. I love the bonus features, I love everything about collecting it. I just like
Yeah.
having something in my hand that doesn't feel like sand.
Do you
But
remember the first DVD that your, like, parents bought as a kid?
yeah, I actually got it. It's
What
The
was
Animal
it?
with, Rob Schneider.
Mm,
That was,
okay.
like, my first introduction into DVDs, and also The Crow.
Ours was Shrek.
Oh, nice. I
Shrek is
remember
a
when
good
that came
movie.
out.
Oh, I love Shrek. I Shrek is another movie that has held up. Like, I don't know. I love it. I saw a Shrek themed birthday party and I'm like, I'm honestly jealous. It was for like a 25-year-old.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
And
pretty
I'm like,
cool.
I'm honestly jealous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's gonna be it though. I'm
Mhm.
glad that we ended up doing this. I hope that you guys come back again. I had a lot of fun doing this with you guys.
We
This
had a
And
was
great time.
yeah, this
thank
was
you.
so fun. Thank you so
I'm
much,
glad.
John, for
You're
having
very
us
welcome.
on.
You're welcome, and keep up the great work on y'all's podcast and everything too. Because, like I said, I enjoy the way you guys review movies. I like how you break down stuff and things like that. You make me think of things that I didn't think before from watching a movie, and I'll even have like little side notes here and there in case I ever want to jump back and give you guys little nods and stuff like that whenever I
Cool.
review stuff. So you guys gave me a new view of actually doing something. So I do appreciate that. Let's see. Let me go ahead and get this from Mello. I miss my Nintendo GameCube and PS2. And then he also says my son loves the Shrek movies. That's awesome, man. That's really
Yeah,
awesome.
also want to say thank you, Mello, for joining us.
Yeah,
Yes,
I want to
thank you
thank you
so
too.
much.
Thank you. I do. Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed the live stream and everything. As a matter of fact, I will be back doing another live stream coming up. This week I got Baby Boy with the Tyrese movie that I'm doing with Vernon Kelly from the Is What It Is podcast. It'll be 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, like usual. My co-host Rossi will be doing a show and interviewing somebody as well. And she's got a spinoff show called Rossi's Clubhouse. And it's actually a Sacramento-based podcast, so go ahead and check that out. I'm also part of the Unfiltered Studios network. We have the Sleepy G show. We have Hypno Wellness. And we also have Pedestal Support. We have all those people with Unfiltered Studios, so go check them out. But Courtney and Rose, I have a question for you. What movies are you going to be dropping for your next podcast review?
Which one did we just do? We just did Uglies.
Uglies.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have Uglies coming next week.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if you think everyone has been dragging Uglies, just wait till you hear my take.
I can't
And
wait to hear that.
I'm actually getting ready to screen the menu to see how gory it is.
Yeah.
It's actually not that gory, believe it or not.
Huh.
I did a review.
Yeah.
Rossi and I did a review. If you want to check
I'll
out the
check it
audio
out.
podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But yeah, it's not that gory. It's not. To be honest with you, I was expecting it to be a lot gory, but it's not. The only thing that is gory is like there's one scene where the guy commits suicide and everything in the movie, but that's about it.
Mm.
That's the only goriest thing that I can remember. But there's a lot of dark humor in it. I think you guys are gonna love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna screen it just to check it out,
Yeah.
and see if we can make it work. There's a lot of movies just with our format that we can't make work.
Right.
So I'll screen it, check it out. I'm hopeful. But like I told you before, we are delicate flowers,
Yeah.
and
No, I mean,
gore does not go with
honestly,
us.
what you described of a gory suicide, I'm like, oof,
Yeah,
immediate red
it's
flag.
that's really graphic in a
Yeah,
sense, but
that
the way
would,
they did the character for it, though it wasn't for the sake of doing it.
okay.
That's one thing I have to say. It didn't glorify suicide. It was
Mhm.
motivation for what the plot was
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything and
Yeah.
with that character because of the fact that you have a chef who is basically psychotic.
Mhm.
And because of something that character did, pissed the chef off so much that he wanted him to kill his own self because he didn't want him to be able to top the chef,
Oh my God.
main
That's
chef.
crazy.
So it was there to motivate, but also too it wasn't there for like shock value.
Yeah,
But at the same time, though, it is something that is
yeah,
really disturbing.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
I'll
that
So
check
type
it
of
it's
out.
stuff.
If I can be like, "Hey, like, let's fast forward from here to here," and then we'll just be like, "Hey, that guy's dead now."
right,
And you know what? Like, that may be fine.
right.
Um, but yeah, like I said, we are delicate flowers. So gore just doesn't really
Right.
mesh. We did do John Tucker and Dale Must Die.
That's not
Is that what it
gory.
was called?
John Tucker
Tuck
Must Die. That's a
No,
rom-com.
no, not John Tucker Must Die, the Tucker and Dale.
Oh, Tucker and Dale movie. I know the movie you're talking about.
Yeah, Tucker and Dale Fight Evil.
Right.
Yeah, no, they put a guy in a wood chipper, Rose.
I literally don't remember this.
Yeah,
I
they
have vid
did. They
I
they
have
they did do that in the very end of it.
I
Yeah.
mean, Fight Club was kinda gory. I found Fight Club really disgusting.
Mhm.
So,
Tucker and
But
Dale versus Evil. Yeah.
Courtney, I do not remember that at all. I swear to God. Did we really do this movie? I
I'll
don't
double check.
remember that.
I'm almost 100% certain we did.
Okay. Yeah, I
but
don't
yeah,
remember.
It isn't like towards the very end of it where they put him in a chipper because I
Mhm.
remember that.
I have terrible memory. I
Well, see, here's the
literally
Like
thing. It's like a satire horror movie. It's like comedy horror. It's
Mhm.
not
right.
like it's not a horror movie. It's satire.
It's like dark comedy
Yeah.
in a sense. But yeah, if you guys want to go on ahead, check out this other thing I did with Doom Generation. I had this on the video as well. This is only the video format because I had some stuff that happened. But we ended up doing a Serial Mom review last year.
Mm.
So check that out on the video format. But also too, check out the menu. I hope that you guys enjoy that. The movie is great. That movie is great. Yeah, thank you, Mello. But yeah, that's gonna be it as far as the show goes. Don't forget, spooky season's just around the corner. I do have some horror movies that's lined up. So always until next time, guys, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe button. Also, too, don't forget to rate us on Apple Podcasts where you guys get your podcast on, and also follow them. Follow Rose and Courtney as well. They do a fantastic podcast. You can actually find their links in the description below. And always until next time, guys. Bye bye. Thank you guys.
bye.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye.